It is now actually recording.
Actually recording. How far does it go?
It goes all the way to the sides of the whiteboard.
Okay, good. So I can move. Good.
Yeah.
So I'm Jason's dad. My name is Forrest. I don't go by Mr. or anything like that. I've been in engineering since longer than I want to count, over 30 years. Somebody asked me, why did I get into engineering? I like the pay. I'm a good teacher. I was a good swim coach. You can't make over 30 or 50 grand. I make a lot more than that. You don't get stock options as a teacher. You guys know what stock options are you? You do? Okay. The company gives you options at a lower price than it is that day. So if the price is 50, they may give it to you for 45, and you can exercise those at different times. So you can make a good amount of money. There's a story about a guy from HP, worked for 20 years, put away, saved, did stock options, everything. When he ended life after 20 years, he had $4 million to retire on. And he retired after 20 years. Now, that's an atypical story, but one guy did it. So, don't have kids going to college, you know, costing me $250,000 there or anything else. I worked, let me see, the one company you will know that I worked for is Intel for 12 years. I did chip design, so the stuff you guys are using is stuff that I did, only it was a lot less, what do you say, powerful. Okay? The first computer I ever worked on, this has more power and more memory than it did, by a lot. Okay, how many people have phones? Everybody? How much memory do they have in it? 8 gig? 16 gig? My first computer was
Memory or RAM?
Memory or RAM.
Yeah, so they have like, what do they have, like half a gig of RAM, right?
They had a half gig, about a half gig of RAM, yeah, with caches and everything else before you get to that. And you can do cards. I was going to I specified in my first job a computer to buy. I specified 1 gigabyte of memory. Anybody guess how much it was? And you guys don't.
When was it? What year?
1985, 4.
A gig of memory.
Gig of memory.
No, it's good. You really have a gig?
No, it didn't. We were specifying it. And a gig of memory was about this big.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay?
saying.
Just so you know, it's $1 million. Okay? Just to give you an idea of how it's progressed. One of the fun things I like about engineering is that it's progressing that way. And it's done that almost forever. The one project I thought about to tell you guys about is I worked on a processor at Intel. And do you know the speeds of the processors you guys are running on? 3.5 gigahertz. It's about the max. I haven't seen anything go past that point for processors.
1.5 is typical nowadays, actually. Just
That's ARM stuff, but
yeah.
Intel goes a little faster. I worked on a processor that was 25 megahertz. Yes. And the lithography was, I gotta say, 1,000 nanometers, 1 micron. 5 years later, I worked on the exact same processor. We were making it slightly different. And we made it in 250 nanometers. The lithographies now are 16 nanometers. So that's the newest one coming out. So this is 250. And we were going 333 megahertz. So in 5 years, we scaled down 75% and up to speed almost 10x, or over 10x. So one thing about engineering I like is it's never the same. It always changes. There's always something new. So if you, and even more so is if you want to go do, you can invent your own. And there's guys doing some really fun stuff out there just inventing things. Okay? Trying to think of something that's cool that has been invented lately, or a gadget. Do I have one? Can't use the cell phone because that's sort of old. Okay. There's new guys. Have you guys heard of Fitbit? I'll just use that one. You guys have made this little thing that you carry along with you that has a wireless device in it, syncs with the computer and tracks how far you walk and how many calories you burn. And somebody's making money off of that.
it's been around forever.
It probably will. It doesn't have a way to IC to open it up and put a battery in it. So it should run forever.
No, something like that's been around forever, like little things on the hip that you can but all they did was add a wireless chip.
That they probably did. There's probably a chip out there with wireless and a microcontroller, and that's what they did.
Yeah.
And did that. So I like what I do. I like playing around with different stuff. If you like creating, I mean, this is a perfect job. And there's other things you can do. If you have a knack, how many people have a knack for talking to other people? Is that the typical? Yeah, you talk too much. Right now, I do technical marketing. Anybody have an idea what, you said yes, what does that mean?
You're selling to other people your products and products.
That's sales, that's technical sales. Anybody idea what it's funny thing is, what I do? Sometimes I don't know, so that's okay. What I do is I help the sales guys sell our products. So I have to be knowledgeable about the product and go in depth to a point where I know exactly what's going on and I can answer the questions for anybody who wants to use it. And I work on a pretty neat product. It actually had a chance of winning, actually we went 7 awards before we actually got the device out, which was atypical. Normally you have to have by device. Does anybody know what I mean by device? This is a very small device. I mean a computer chip. So, I don't even know what that is. But we figured out that what it was. It was an 8-bit microcontroller, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or the one on the bottom is the 8-bit microcontroller.
There's definitely needed a microcontroller on the bottom.
Okay. I don't work on a microcontroller. I work on a processor with 2 CPUs and a bunch of other stuff on it. And then you got this programmable stuff on the back that makes you do it. You'll actually, how many people are in the robotics club at their school besides him? Really?
There's no robotics.
There's no robotics
Yeah.
club?
We don't have to use them.
I'm sorry to hear that. The robotics club uses the chip that I do, but they actually put it in from a company called National Instruments, and you can do the program. So, other than that, I do a lot of PowerPoint, a lot of Excel. So you guys, the other thing to learn is to learn how to write. No matter how much it pains you, learn how to write. How many people hate writing? Okay, you're good at it.
I hate that.
Don't do that to me.
I hate when they force you to write.
Okay.
To be creative.
So that's one of the things about engineering. There's always stuff that you don't like to do. I don't like to write, and I'm bad at it. Okay, I can stand up here and talk to people. I can do PowerPoint. I can do a lot of things, but I can't write. I read some of my writing and I don't know what I meant. Really do. One thing that will get you along with your other engineers is writing something that is brief, comprehensive, and understandable. And the comprehensive and understandable are the big points. So that would be one thing I do. So, I'm going to stop. I've been talking. There's hardly any questions. You guys are slipping up your fat lines. Oreo thing. What do you guys, I see audio. What do you guys think happens in a normal engineering day? Anybody tag an engineer around for a day? Do you guys have high schools you go to? Do you follow somebody around on, I forget what it is? Shadowing? Have you ever shadowed an engineer? It is. I offered it to him. You know what he said?
No.
No. And most of it's because we'd have to drive into my office, which is in Longmont. So I work mostly from the house. So he didn't want to do that. How many people think sitting in a meeting and listening to a bunch of people talk is exciting?
Future manager right there.
It's a lovely.
That is. What I want to go into is some of your day is PowerPoint, which I don't have fun with, but I have to produce. Some of your day is creating something. And debugging. How many people like debugging? Nobody likes debugging.
It's okay. It's not terrible.
You know, you'll never create anything without debugging. Because if you make it perfect each time, this is the one. If you have an engineer who makes no mistakes, what does he do? They louder. Nothing. There's no engineer I've ever met that hasn't made a mistake. Now, there are certain engineers you meet, that will tell you they've never made a mistake and will always be right. Oh yes. Get used to, there's a personality in engineering. Anybody watch Big Bang? Okay, is Sheldon Cooper, Dr. Sheldon Cooper, ever wrong?
No.
That personality exists in engineering.
What? I would hit him. It's probably real life.
He exists. Jason, do they exist?
Yes.
Okay. Jason has a mentor in robotics that is that way. He's always right. Even when he's made a mistake, it wasn't his fault. Okay?
Oh.
Okay? You got it? What the other aspect is, you'll always meet different personalities, and dealing with them will be part of the job. It's kind of like debugging a person. Figuring out how to work with them is where I'm going with that one. So, no questions? You guys are just dead?
You kind of have to like prod them. They're pretty quiet.
Well, and that's what I was doing with a few of them, like have they seen Big Bang? So how many people, let me do this one. How many people think they're close to somebody on the Big Bang personality-wise? I was comparing this the other day on the plane with somebody. So who am I?
Yeah, I'm Leonard.
You're Leonard?
No.
He's Leonard? Okay. Who's Sheldon?
Jason.
Only he talks a lot more and interacts with people a lot better.
Sheldon, do you have, I mean, not Sheldon. I was going to say, do you have bus riding pants like Sheldon?
No, I know.
No, he has a car he can drive.
Okay.
So that's different.
So cooties.
That's the difference. Yeah, he does Sheldon. He can drive.
Yes. He can drive.
Just
So,
right.
the other
He's like me.
nuances, do you think people like the characters? They're stereotypes, but do they exist? Yeah, but I've never met an Indian who couldn't talk to a woman. Okay? That one I have not met.
What about his best friend?
His best friend, Howard exists. Really does. And it's really sad. And that's what makes the show really funny, is you can actually know people like that. I know a couple real Sheldons. They aren't PhDs, but they are really kind of handy. It's annoying at times.
Are most Sheldons actually smart, or are there some Sheldons who are not smart, but they're also?
Yeah, the one I'm thinking of that I work with is not that smart.
Oh man, that would be awful.
Okay, so the other thing you have to deal with is there are people in the room who will be your boss that aren't as smart as you are. And the smart bosses, and get to know them, the smart bosses will know that you're smart.